Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Pat Cummins' side qualified for the on-off test by virtue of finishing second on the ICC World Test Championship standings 2023-25. The holders of the WTC Mace finished second in the ongoing cycle, with a point percentage of 67.54 on the back of 13 wins from their 19 outings. Earlier in May, the team named a strong 15-player squad to take the field at the final. The Australians are bolstered by the return of dynamic all-rounder Cameron Green, veteran pacer Josh Hazlewood, and Pat Cummins, all of whom had missed out on the tour of Sri Lanka earlier this year. Australia squad for the WTC final: Pat Cummins, C. Scott Boland, Alex Carey, Cameron Green, Josh Hazlewood, Travis Head, Josh Inglis, Usman Khawaja, Sam Constas, Matt Kunman, Marnus Labuschagne, Nathan Lyon, Steve Smith, VC, Mitchell Starc, Bo Webster. Travelling reserve: Brendan Doggett, having secured the iconic mace in June 2023. The title holders had a sluggish start to their third World Test Championship campaign, but picked up pace eventually and punched a ticket to the final against South Africa at Lord's starting June 11th. Here is a look at the 6 series that the side featured in on their way to the ultimate test v England. 2-2, away. Australia established early dominance in the 2023 Ashes, securing a close win in Birmingham by 2 wickets, before taking an exciting contest at Lord's by 43 runs to secure a 2-0 lead. However, England struck back in the third test with a 3-wicket victory on the back of stunning performances from Ben Stokes in the first innings 80, Harry Brook in the second 75, and Mark Wood's magic with the ball throughout the test 5/34, 266, needing just a draw to retain the Ashes. Australia proceeded to do exactly that in the 4th test, holding up against the hosts with some help from the weather, while England managed to fight back in the final game as well to make it 2-2. Mitchell Starc was chosen as Australia's player of the series with 23 wickets across the 5 tests. Pakistan 3-0. Home Australia then faced Pakistan in a 3-match test series at home in December 2023. The hosts continued their dominance against Pakistan at home with a 3-0 series whitewashed to make it 17 test wins on the trot against the Asian side since 1999. Australia secured wins by 360 runs in the first test, 79 runs in the second test, and by 8 wickets in the third test. Skipper Pat Cummins was consistent across the 3 matches and was named the player of the series for his 19 wickets. Meanwhile, in a significant development, one of Australia's opening stalwarts across formats, David Warner, called time on his red ball career upon the conclusion of the final test against Pakistan in Sydney. West Indies 1-1. Home Craig Brathwaite's West Indies were up next at home, and the Australian side had to settle for a share of the spoils as the series finished tied with 1 victory apiece. The first test in Adelaide saw Australia continue their unbeaten run at home with a comfortable win. Travis Head scored a brilliant 119 off 134 deliveries in the first innings. Meanwhile, Josh Hazlewood was in sizzling form with 9 wickets across both innings as Australia secured a victory by 10 wickets. The second test, a day-night encounter in Brisbane, was a West Indies performance for the ages. Featuring in just his second test, pacer Shamar Joseph overcame a toe injury and put out the performance of a lifetime in the second innings, picking up 7 68s and holding Australia 8 runs short of their ask. For the first time since the 1996-97 season, the Caribbean side had won a test in Australia. This was also Australia's first test loss on home soil, since India were the victors at the same venue in 2020 on New Zealand 2-0. Away next, Australia went across the Tasman to take on neighbouring rivals New Zealand. The visitors secured a 2-0 series win against New Zealand, winning the first test by a comfortable margin of 172 runs at Wellington courtesy of a Nathan Lyon 10-wicket haul. The Kiwis fought back in the second test, and after conceding an advantage in the first innings managed to set up a target of 279. Early strikes from Ben Sears and Matt Henry left Australia reduced to 85ths. However, resilient batting from Mitchell Marsh, Alex Carey and Pat Cummins saw the tourists through. India 3-1. Home coming off a disastrous home series against New Zealand, India showed renewed vigour in Perth, winning the first test by 295 runs. Stand-in skipper Jasprit Bumrah was their star, registering inspiring bowling figures of 870 seconds. But in the second test in Adelaide, a pink ball encounter, Pat Cummins' side came back strongly on the back of Travis Head's heroics in the first innings. He scored 140 off 141 deliveries. Meanwhile, Cummins and Stark shone themselves too, with 7 and 8 scalps respectively. Australia dominated a rain-affected encounter in Brisbane, albeit a draw, but the downside was key pacer Josh Hazlewood picking up an injury and being ruled out for the remainder of the series with a calf strain. The Boxing Day test in Melbourne was a test cricket masterclass from Australia. While the hosts dominated the majority of the test, they overcame India's resolve on the fifth day to take a win in the final hour of the game. A 3-1 series win would have ensured Australia's place in the top 2 of the WTC standings, thus confirming their spot in the final even before they had played their last series. And Scott Boland, leading with a sensational seam bowling performance, ensured just that for the hosts in Sydney. Despite a slender lead in the first innings, India lost their way following an injury to star pacer Bumrah, who finished with a staggering 32 wickets in the series at an average of 13.06. Boland's career-best 1076s ensured a modest target for the hosts in the second innings, and they overcame the ask of 162 against an injured Indian bowling lineup with 6 wickets to spare. Sri Lanka 2-0, away after an exhausting outing against India at home. Australia started without key figures like Cummins and Hazlewood for the Sri Lanka encounters. Steve Smith took the reins in the island nation as Australia secured another series whitewash away from home, their first series triumph in Sri Lanka since 2011. Smith led from the front, winning the Player of the Series award for scoring tons in both tests and accruing 272 runs in the series. Going into the final, opener Usman Khawaja has been Australia's highest run scorer in the 2023-25 WTC cycle, scoring 1422 runs across 19 tests at an average of 41.82. Their highest wicket-taker in this cycle has been skipper Pat Cummins, who has led from the front with a rip-roaring 73 wickets across 17 tests. The reigning champions are now all set to face South Africa in the ultimate test, starting June 11 at Lord's with a chance to retain their title and continue their dominance as the #1 test team in the world. Please subscribe to my channel.